Hi everybody and welcome back to another video. My name is Richard Seidlitz, I'm the owner of Redpants.lol. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to repair taillights. Now we have to say right up front that this is not going to be guaranteed to fix a problem. There's a few different things that can cause taillights to fail. This addresses one of them. Now specifically, I'm going to be doing a slightly modified version of the guidance that was provided by Aston Martin in one of their service bulletins. And I say slightly modified because instead of making one hole in each taillight, I'm making two. Now the difference is something that's basically the area of the holes, but I've got this breakdown and a whole bunch more information on redpants.lol, and I've got a specific written DIY guide for this job with a lot more information, including how to bake the taillight to take it apart if your repairs need to go that far. But as far as this video is concerned, I'm just going to show you how to do the drilling portion of it, which hopefully will fix or prevent a lot of the issues you guys are having. Now, of course, the big red elephant in the room is this car, which is not my 2007 Aston Martin V8 Vantage. It is, in fact, a 2000. This is not a 2000. I know, shocker, right? It's a 1965 Pontiac GTO. It's actually my dad's car. Mine is off getting some work done. Some really cool products are in the way. Some suspension stuff, some engine stuff, some other fun stuff. And I have to fix my headliner because that fell out as I was dropping my car off at the shop. So I'll be making a DIY guide about that too. But anyway, while my car is off doing its thing, this is going to be my little bit of eye candy for a backdrop, which, having talked to quite a few of you on phone calls and emails and whatnot, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to appreciate this anyway. So not a bad change of scenery. Anyway, let's get into this taillight video. Hi everybody and welcome to another video. My name is Richard Seidlitz, I'm the owner of Redpants.lol, and today I'm going to talk to you about taillights. This isn't just taillights in general, this is Aston Martin taillights because they have this funny little quirk where they stop working because of moisture. Now on most cars this isn't really a problem. Generally you don't get moisture inside of taillights too often, and if you do it's not that big of a deal. But on our cars it is a big deal, and the reason is because our taillights use LEDs, and those LEDs have electronic control boards to make them work. When moisture builds up in there, as you can see on one of my taillights, which is really bad, the moisture can damage that control board to the point where the control board will no longer be able to function to work those LEDs. When that happens, your taillight stops working. It's done. The taillights are not meant to be serviceable. That means they can't be opened up without some pretty in-depth means. If you've ever baked a taillight before, you probably know what I'm talking about. On these ones, it's even more difficult than usual because the design of them, the length and how thin they are, it's very easy to crack them. So you can try it, but it is a dangerous thing to do. Once your taillight stops working, it has to be replaced or otherwise repaired by taking it apart, figuring out how to fix all the circuit boards and all. It's not pleasant. If your taillight is still working, it's still functioning, but it has moisture in it, you can prevent it from doing more damage and to continue working. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. It's a very simple job. If you've ever taken out your taillight, you already know how to do most of it. If you haven't taken out your taillight before, I have another video showing how to do that on my YouTube channel and on redpants.lol. It's not that big of a deal. It's a 19mm socket with a ratchet, and there's one connector on the back side of the taillight itself, and then it comes right out. You shouldn't need to get rid of that fill piece, which is honestly the hardest part about changing out the taillights is swapping over this fill piece. So this is actually not that big of a deal. Once the taillight's out, we're going to drill a hole in it. That's the part that gets scary. The hole being drilled in there allows us to vent out that moisture. We're going to blow air into it, and then we're going to reseal the taillight with a Gore-Tex patch. That patch will allow air to continue circulating to help prevent more condensation, while at the same time not allowing moisture to go in and build up. Let's go ahead and get started. It wasn't hard for me to find out what went wrong with this taillight and why it's got so much condensation in it. You could see this whole opening right here where this should be sealed. And yeah, you can give this a little bit of flex and see it opening up. That's definitely a bad sign, as this should all be sealed a lot better than that. So that's okay, we're still gonna drill this bad boy and hopefully fix the problem anyway. The place that you're supposed to drill is right about here. You wanna be 40mm from the edge, which is this spot right here. I'm using smaller patches, so I'm gonna do two smaller holes instead of one big one, but it's gonna have the same effect. So this is my 40mm mark right here, and I guess I'll do one right about there. And just to make sure I'm still good, I am good. So I'm going to go ahead and start drilling these spots. The trick that you want to do your best at is to make sure that you go slowly through the housing. You don't want to punch through and damage anything inside, and you also don't want any of the pieces of plastic that you're drilling out to come loose and go inside of the housing. So do your best to prevent that. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is get an air compressor and blow some air into there. You shouldn't use an air can like you would use on a computer. Sometimes those can actually put more moisture in there than it's gonna be taking out. So we're gonna avoid that. If you have an inline filter to prevent moisture from getting through your air compressor line, that's even better. All we're gonna do is we're gonna stick this compressor line up to the hole, and we're gonna get that air circulating inside so that we can get the condensation out. Once you've got the condensation out of the tail lamp, the next thing to do is seal up those holes. You need to put some Gore-Tex patches over those holes. That's going to keep the moisture from coming in while still allowing air to circulate to prevent the condensation from building up into liquid moisture. On mine, because I was able to see that problem so clearly, I know that this is the major failing point of my tail lamp, is this part of the seal, which is a common problem on these. It's a major failing point that's very common to see. Make sure you do your best to find those failure points, those cracks that cause that condensation to get in there to begin with, and seal those as best as you can. You could try using something like flex tape or an epoxy or something else. Just keep in mind that whatever you use for that may or may not be reversible. So if you have any questions about this or anything else, please feel free to reach out, rich@redpants.lol, or on the contact page of redpants.lol, and I'll see you next time. So as I mentioned in that video, the sealant around my taillight needs to be replaced. It's split apart pretty badly. Now replacing that sealant, the best way to do it is to actually bake the taillight, pull it apart, clean off the old sealant, put on new sealant, and put it back together. But this is a very risky thing to do because you can easily damage or destroy the taillight, especially that lens, because when you bake it, you may warp the lens and it's not going to be quite right after that. So it's something I'll probably end up trying, even though I'm already planning on replacing the headlights and the taillights on my car. The headlights for a different reason. I need to point them the opposite direction, and the adjustment on those only goes so far. And then the taillights, because one already had the issue, I might try to do the other one and then use these two that I have, my outgoing ones, as sort of cores for experiments or projects or something else. But these repairs are some of those things that hopefully you don't have to do yourself, but it's extremely common. The drilling thing, like I said, is a TSB from Aston Martin because it's that common for these to have the condensation issues. But as far as baking them, that's a much more intensive thing, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you're ready to throw that away if anything goes wrong. So just be ready for that. Like I said, all this is written up on redpants.lol. There's a link in the description below directly to the DIY guide, so you can try this yourself if you want. And by all means, please like, share, and subscribe, and all that other YouTube-y stuff, because the pennies per dollar that I get on these videos helps out the community more than it helps me, quite frankly, because I'm not making a damn thing off these. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.